Okay, we are back. I believe we're at part number 4 of the actual solo now, so this is turning into a long one, but great news is we're going to have you memorizing this entire piece of music and you'll be able to play it, which will be very impressive considering you're about to turn 14. I don't know any other 14-year-old that can rock out to this, actually, so good on you for being ahead of the game, Toz. Okay, so we last finished by playing this little lick here. Here it is to run it over for you again. And we find ourselves conveniently in this little position here, which actually leads us right back down that pentatonic box, except this time, instead of going up, we're actually going down. The scale is actually descending. But the notes are very much the same. The only difference is kind of the way that you play them. So this part will be quite familiar when you actually hear it in the song. It's the part that he plays very, very quickly. So it's going to take a little bit of practice, but like all things that you're doing with the guitar, Toz, you seem to take to these things really quickly. I know you'll be tearing it out just like you did with the Sublime solo very quickly. Okay, so if we're at the 15th fret of the G string right here and we were to hammer on, it would sound like this. You can play individual notes if you like, 2 pick strokes, but I think the hammer on makes it just a little bit quicker. Having said that, from this point onwards, every single note has to be picked, with your pick, obviously. Okay, so let's start from 15 to 17. Now, this time, we're going back down, we're going 15, 16, 18, and the same thing again. So if we put it all together. And now, doesn't that sound familiar? That's that classic little Queen riff. Da 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 da. Now, when you're doing this as well, try the alternate picking. It'll make it a little bit quicker for you. So the hammer on for the first phrase, then up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, or whichever way you find comfortable. Good news too, the solo only gets easier from here. The phrase actually repeats itself twice, but there is one change at the end of the phrase, which is a bend. And your choice of fingers is pretty important in this case. You want to make sure you have them in the right position in order to get the proper bend, considering how high up the actual fretboard this is. All right, so let's have a look. That's once, now we repeat. Exactly the same thing, except now you'll see my pinky's on the 18th. I put my 3 fingers, first, second, and third, from 16 to 17 to 18, and then I'm bending up on that high E string. So all together you would have this. And that last bend should be really, really nice and kind of like very poignant. You're trying to make a kind of a statement with that. Get your bends really precise, make sure they sound really, really good. You're aiming to bend the strings up an entire octave when you're actually doing it. So that just means giving it a huge bend, plus it'll obviously build the calluses and get your hands nice and strong. All right, last video coming up. Enjoy the rockin' and rolling.